Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has built a career, if we can call it that, not on science, not on truth, but on a string of evasions and deceptions. When asked to name a single vaccine that has benefited mankind, just one, out of polio, measles, smallpox, diphtheria, you name it, he couldn't do it. Not because he doesn't know the answer, but because acknowledging the obvious would unravel the entire fabric of his demography. He denied involvement in the South Pacific measles outbreaks despite evidence to the contrary. He's claimed to defend children's health, while his rhetoric and policies have left children vulnerable entirely to preventable diseases. And now, as Secretary of Health and Human Services, his evasions are no longer just words on a stage. They're shaping policy. His lies are no longer hypothetical, they are consequential. Enter Scott Hamilton's documentary, Shot in the Arm. It is in many ways a case for sanity. It chronicles a pandemic of disinformation alongside the pandemic of disease. It captures RFK Jr. and others in their own words, and in doing so, it hands the public something our institutions have struggled to provide: clarity. Not spin, not half-truths, clarity. Today I'm speaking with Scott Hamilton Kennedy, producer of Shot in the Arm, co-produced with Neil deGrasse Tyson, about how this film confronts lies, illuminates the consequences, and perhaps offers us a way forward when the public trust in health has never been more fragile. Scott, welcome to Terry Simpson, MD, the Unfiltered MD.
That was a great intro, man. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. It's a pleasure to talk with you again. So, in this film, RFK Jr. was asked to name a single vaccine. He couldn't do it. What does this reveal about the hollowness of his movement?
It is so hollow. Great word. It is so hollow. And we have to underline that has been for many years and is continuing today a pathological liar. I don't use that word. I don't use pathological lightly. I don't use liar lightly. He jumps around on the truth. He doesn't respect nor follow the tenets of science, of democracy, of our social contract. It's just awful. And it reveals that his struggle, we call it Maha, their movement, hollow, but it just still keeps getting attention, Terry. And why aren't anybody in the press saying, I don't care about what words come out of your mouth, except for this. Tell me the tools that you use to determine if what you're saying has validity to it, if the outcomes that you're asking for have validity to it. So you've said you removed dyes from foods from a handful of companies that isn't even on paper. It's just a soft promise. Show me any evidence that's going to move the needle. Show me any evidence that you care truly about children. And if you did, let's go to the top 10 issues that cause harm to children and death to children. And none of them include food dyes. Sorry if I went off record.
No, it's perfect. So when he dodges or improvises lies, do you think he believes his own evasions, or is it deliberate manipulation?
That's one of those $1 million questions, Terry, that people always ask me, and I can't. Obviously, you know this too. We can't get inside somebody's soul, right? I can tell you that I don't know if I've ever seen him tell the truth. I guess he said, you shouldn't listen to me on public health on one day, but then he'll say something else on the next day.
Let's go through one of his lies. He claimed he had nothing to do with the MMR and the vaccine shortage in the South Pacific, yet the evidence shows otherwise, absolutely displayed beautifully in your film. So how does the film help connect those dots for the public?
Yeah, we got the film to a handful of senators, and that sequence in particular, the Samoa sequence in particular, to a handful of senators before he was confirmed. And I know some of them did. Elizabeth Warren, we can go to the tape, and Elizabeth Warren's kind of quoting from the sequence, and an honor that she took the time to look at it. But we didn't get to enough people, but it exposes him. And thank you for saying in his own words that he says one thing and his actions are another, and then he'll say a different thing on a different day. And again, it's pathological lying. It's effortless lying. It's just like lying for survival until somebody just goes, I just know when does he get to lose his privileges? Terry, when does he lose his privileges for
Well,
being.
the big problem is now he sits as Secretary of HHS, and his ideology, whatever that might be, has become policy. So, how do you think shot in the arm functions as a warning label to the public?
Yeah, it's funny. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be laughing, but I heard somebody, my foreign distributor was shot in the arm, say that somebody, a foreign country that was considering the film said, well, it's kind of outdated now. It's like, well, because he's head of HHS. Like, have you ever heard of a warning film or a film that didn't get the attention that it deserved? That it was like, hi, we're over here telling you the truth about Robert Kennedy Jr. And he still became HHS. So we still need the film to show the backstory of how long he's been lying and the truth about science, data, vaccines, and on and on. So it's frustrating. I don't want to sit here and whinge for you, Terry, because it's like, don't feel sorry for me. I'm just a filmmaker. But let's whinge for our country. Let's win. Let's be sad and scared for the state of science and public health in our country. And we're going to be pushing back against this for decades.
I sort of viewed your documentary as a way of putting his record on trial in the court of public opinion.
Mm. True. Yeah. I again, I wish more of the public could have been jurors in that opinion, but the ones who saw it, it's been amazing that they see like, oh, absolutely, clearly who this guy is. And some people will say, well, and we did it. We gave him a little bit of a pass on. Well, in the past, he was a good environmental lawyer, and I bet if we went back and looked at any of those records, he was cheating even then. He might have been cheating for some good to say, let me remove toxins from a company, but he's still cheating. And there should be no cheating because that just lowers trust and makes us not know who to believe in. There should be is zero cheating, and we have the tools to know if somebody's cheating, right? So he'll probably try and say that, if he ever cared to watch it, that shot in the arm is propaganda, the same things he'll say over and over again. Scott's a shill for big pharma, he's a shill for this or that. That's a slur. That's not an argument. Show me the evidence that I manipulated the truth to do anything. And it's not there. We followed the truth and we verified it and we vetted it to within an inch of its life. Ask Robert Kennedy Jr. to do that with any of his things. Look at his Maha study. It's lies and AI lies throughout it.
One of the oldest book tricks in the book for charlatans is sowing distrust while offering themselves as a savior.
Perfect.
And I kind of think the film exposes this clearly enough for viewers to see that con.
I hope it does. Absolutely. It is. It's the oldest, and his pivot, Robert Kennedy Jr.'s pivot to jump on the Donald Trump train was kind of, I guess we'd have to call it evil brilliant. They're perfect partners. They're both effortless liars. They both only care about this at the end of the day, right? It's really what is going to serve me, not the people I keep saying I'm trying to serve. And yeah, it's every day I just wake up going, what the F are we living through?
Yeah. I mean, for example, RFK Jr. always appears that he wants to appear as the champion of children's health, and yet his actions absolutely endanger them. Absolutely going back to an era where preventable disease is now going to start running rampant again.
Yep.
I think your film shows these consequences, both of what happened in Samoa, which I think was probably one of the more telling things, but just throughout his career, showing that he has an ideology, he has an idea, and he is paid for that idea. So I wonder if he assumes that those of us who actually believe in evidence, who believe in fact finding, if he thinks we must be paid for our opinion.
He does. He does that one. He'll spin it any direction he wants. Again, Jonathan Haidt has a fantastic slogan: "A slur is not an argument," and it's very timely. Right? I'll say it again: a slur is not an argument. He slurs effortlessly. Donald Trump slurs effortlessly, but he doesn't have an argument to go behind it. Right? But sadly, the press doesn't, and other people hear the slur. It's very passionate. It's very intriguing. Scott and Terry are shills for big pharma, whatever it is. And it's like, evidence, please. You can't just shill God forbid that I mean, I wish Fauci had sued him for defamation, right? The book that he tried to write on Tony Fauci is just a disaster of lies. And, I wish I respect Tony Fauci on so many levels. And I appreciate that he doesn't want to go low. To quote Michelle Obama, we got to go high when they go low. I don't know how much lower we have to get before we go to, bricks and bats in this situation. It's just shocking.
I think the danger of lies is not that they're believed, but that they typically outlast the liar.
Excellent.
And what I see in this film is that this is a counter memory to prevent falsehoods from hardening into folklore.
I sure hope so. And not to jump to my previous science film, also with Neil deGrasse Tyson, called Food Evolution. The two films are colliding in Maha. Food Evolution, just to do it quickly for your viewers, is a reset of the conversation on GMOs, and the anti-GMO types and the anti-vaccine types overlap a ton. They're saying we have the alternative. Those people have lied to you, and we're going to give you a new product and make you healthier than they are. And it's all based on a great deal of lies, very, very, very little science, and it's just a disaster. And some people are even saying now that don't like Robert Kennedy Jr. on vaccines will say, well, maybe he has some good ideas on food. No, he is a liar. He is not telling you the truth, and he's not doing anything to make your kids healthier.
Well, unfortunately, HHS has embraced that anti-science ideology. It's almost become normalized now. I'm really hoping that Shot in the Arm helps arm the public or equip the public to just resist that.
I sure hope so. I mean, and we have to even remember, even at HHS, as we sit here, Terry, while a lot of people have been fired, there's still a lot of great scientists there. I know people at HHS. I know people at NIH who still have their jobs. It's a disaster because the people at the highest positions are not following science and decency. So we have to cheer for them and ask them to be brave and say that we're here with you and do that. But yeah, ask anybody in the public, blue, red, or otherwise, do you want to follow a liar? And they would say no. Right? Now the question is, they're going to say, well, okay, well, I can say Donald Trump and Robert Kennedy Jr. are liars, so why do you follow them? And they go, well, no, point out the lie, and they'll dance around on the evidence. But they're really, at the end, just following their tribe, and sadly, it's a terrible word, but selfishness. They're just going to accept the information that comes in front of them that accepts their worldview. It's a confirmation bias nightmare.
Christopher Hitchens once said that which is asserted without evidence can be dismissed without evidence.
Excellent.
And I think that your film really does a good job of dismissing RFK Jr.'s claims for what they are.
Lacking evidence, absolutely. Yeah, they have a lot of sound and fury signifying nothing. Well, signifying in this case, possibly the demise of our public health systems.
It is rather hard for me as a physician to see this, and especially me as someone who originally trained in virology, to look at this and say, this is setting us back not 10 years, decades.
Decades.
And unfortunately, there will be body bags to account for it.
It's true. And we don't even know how to measure all of it, Terry. We don't even know how to measure. I agree with you completely on the decades. Then the scientists that we're going to lose to other countries because of funding. I mean, it just goes, that's again where the overwhelm, it's this rush of, they've been brilliant at how fast they've done it all since January. But it's terrifying. And I'm seeing a little bit of pushback. You've probably seen this, that APHA and some other groups are suing to try and push back on some of these things. And we have to do it, right? We have to use any tool we have available to us to try and push back against this.
I think that we need to bring the idea of the scientific method and evidence back. One of the comments that I'm always making in my own social media statements is RFK Jr. never took a science course that we can find anywhere. So his idea is rhetoric, not science. His idea is an ideology as opposed to an idea. He gives us histrionics without any evidence of the science history and what it's done for us. Mm-hmm. I had often said that and many of my colleagues didn't like this, but I wished that Kamala Harris would have said to RFK Jr. when she had the chance, yes, come into my administration, because they could have put guardrails around his nonsense. Because I think that it would have changed the outcome of the election. Unfortunately, I don't have a forward or backward crystal ball. All I can say is now we we are in significant amount of trouble, and not people like me, but kids and infants,
Yeah.
and all they're doing is giving us cosplay and ring lights and words.
And yet silly videos of him working out in his jeans. It's just, I don't know who wants to. I mean, I know it's a perfect storm. It's a perfect storm that has been building for, I know that's overused term, but it's been a perfect storm that's been building probably for 20 years, Terry, that it's distrust in institutions. We could go all the way back to Watergate in a way that was the beginning in two ways: distrust of a huge institution, the top of our government, and that the heroes, they outed them, were two journalists, excellent journalists. Thank you for the work that they did. But now anybody thinks or poses as one of those journalists if they have a podcast, if they have any form of a microphone. It's like, no, they had evidence to support why Nixon lied and did horrible things around Watergate. You don't have evidence. You're just trying to manipulate, again, perfect storm. They've manipulated the David versus Goliath story, right? Who wants to cheer for Goliath? But if thousands of Davids are liars in the Maha movement, I'm not cheering for Goliath. I'm cheering for the truth.
I think the Goliath is actually the Mahab movement. They are big and dumb, and unfortunately, they have a lot of firepower. And we have to use our rocks of truth to show to the world that this is an issue. And what I find so odd about this is if I would say one great thing about Donald Trump's previous administration,
Mm,
it was Operation Warp Speed.
sure.
And that he is no longer embracing that. That was the one singular event which stopped my hospital and many other hospitals from being overrun by the last pandemic, which is actually still a pandemic going on. And for them to sort of chuck all of that aside for these people who believe that vitamin C can cure everything is very, very sad.
Robert Kennedy Jr. and many in the Maha movement helped me coin a phrase: "Have your kale and eat it too." And that's a little bit of what's going on with Maha, and even with Donald Trump. He just wants to have it every way that he can. That, yes, I was the hero who brought you warp speed. I made it happen. I made it happen. Love me for that. Oh, but if you don't like the vaccines, don't worry about it. You can do that too. It's just whatever keeps me in power, whatever keeps the attention on me. And I never thought our country would go this far, but clearly we were not putting up the guardrails. We were not building the trust. We weren't engaging with a lot of people for a long time. Again, Dr. Fauci, respect, but for a long time you said don't engage with the anti-vaxxers, right? They'll burn out. Don't give them a microphone. And it was a fail. It was 100% of a fail. And I know what he wanted to do. He didn't want to waste his time on that. He wanted to stick with the science and the hard work that people like you are doing, but it was sure a communications fail.
It was, and we're making up for it now, or at least we're trying to. Unfortunately, like I said, it is going to take people seeing the disaster for what it is. And they've seen a little bit of it. We've had the largest measles outbreak since we declared measles gone from the
Yep.
United States.
Yep.
You know, they just announced that they are no longer recommending flu vaccines for children under 5, I think it is, or COVID vaccines. So, and people generally don't understand statistics, right? When I, in social media, when I go into the comment section, it's like, me and my friends all had this problem, and therefore we all drank raw milk, so it's all okay, and we lived to be 95, or my grandfather lived to be 95. To which I point out, yeah, but 3 of his brothers died.
That's right. That's right. Now, it is a shame how bad we are at risk assessment, how bad we are currently at humility, Terry. Just the humility to say, could I be wrong? Do I want to take 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes to check to see if I'm wrong? I mean, there's so many layers to the problems we're facing right now, and it's beautiful to see your platform, this amazing community on social media platforms that is pro science, that you and I both follow tons of these people. And it's exciting to see. It's still a drop in the bucket compared to, what Trump and Elon Musk and Joe Rogan, the attention they have, but it's better than nothing. And it's really building. There are a lot of people out there that are decent. Of course there are. Most people wake up in the morning and they don't want to screw over their neighbor. They want to try and have as healthy a life and safe a life for themselves and their family as they can. And it goes a little sideways from there, depending on their discipline and humility and greed and all the above.
One of the things about science is that we kind of like when we're wrong. When we're wrong and we can't explain something, we don't say the evidence is wrong. We say our model was wrong. And we actually, in my world as a scientist, it's delightful because it means that Mother Nature has a far more interesting, elegant solution. And we just have to figure that out.
Yeah, and you'll find it. That's right. It's built in, Terry. It's not. We're living in a time where admitting that you're wrong is not respected, right? Like driving in traffic, somebody cuts you off, put your hand up, just say I'm sorry. Right? That's a beautiful thing that we get to do, and it's the same at a much larger level in terms of doing good science, finding out that it didn't work, adjusting, and trying to do better the next time. Versus Robert Kennedy Jr. saying, "I'm going to find the cause of autism by September." No scientist has ever said anything like that, right? We hope to find something in the next 5 to 20 years, maybe somebody would say, but it's not the way you say it. You say, we're doing the work. We're doing the work. We've made progress. I mean, again, the miracle of Project Warp Speed. It was absolutely incredible.
One of the things that was rather difficult for many non-scientists during the early parts of the COVID epidemic was we got a lot of things wrong. I mean, we were going week by week with new information. And for a while we thought it was all a contact virus. And then we discovered it was more of a respiratory virus. People who understand science understand we were in a period of rapid evolution and things changed. People who don't understand science said, you guys lied to us. And not understanding the basics of we're in real time with a pandemic that is overwhelming the hospitals, and we're doing the best we can, and we're going to be wrong, and we're going to test again, and we will figure this out.
That's right.
But only religion has all of the answers all of the time, and is, you know, uh, can claim that they are forever and ever. But science, we can't do that.
Yeah, religion won't stop you from getting COVID. I appreciate the humility, Terry, in saying the mistakes that public health made, and it's absolutely true. I would want to give a big hug back to your community and say you were working, leaving the exhaustion out of it. You were working from good intentions every single day, and you were adjusting to a tragedy in real time. And the people that say that you lied to them is lazy, like Monday morning quarterbacking. That doesn't mean we shouldn't look at it and try and do better next time. Those are two different things. But to just say, "Oh, you lied to me, now I don't have to listen to you." I wish if there was AI that could do this, I could snap my fingers and we could watch in real time Robert Kennedy Jr. in Tony Fauci's position, April 2020, right? Let's watch him for 3 months and the disaster that would be. And then let's see what he says about Monday morning quarterbacking.
That has been my concern about bird flu, as we call it, because if that gets to human transmission, we will see something far worse than we saw with COVID.
Right.
And we are a couple of mutations away from that happening. And we have the wrong team in place to take care of this.
So scary, man.
It is. Yeah, I mean, we had built up a team of great scientists, physicians throughout our government, built it up, and now that has been systematically removed, defunded, destroyed, denigrated. And they look at medicine as a matter of belief, whereas we look at medicine as a matter of evidence.
Yeah.
In this case, the evidence is clear. Denying evidence isn't brave, it's reckless.
Yes.
And when they deny evidence, the price will be paid by all of us.
Absolutely. Along that evidence train, I come to see, and this is all the way back to food evolution too, but it just keeps getting worse, the difference between skepticism and cynicism. And sadly, we're living through a time where cynicism is winning, right? So if you're skeptical of the COVID vaccine, you're skeptical that the MMR vaccine might cause autism, fine, be skeptical. Let's look at the evidence. But if study after study and year after year, the evidence says the MMR vaccine doesn't cause, there's no evidence to say the MMR vaccine caused autism, but you want to keep believing that and keep fomenting fear around the institutions that proved that the MMR vaccine doesn't cause autism, that's not skepticism anymore. That is cynicism. And we're living in a time that people celebrate cynicism. They almost think, oh, yeah, they're the cool ones. They're cynical because they see through all the bullshit. And it's like, no, cynicism is a poison. Skepticism is healthy. Cynicism is a poison.
It is disturbing to me and to many of my colleagues how they have taken the skeptical movement, the movement of my friends and scientists and physicians who are true skeptics, and they've attached them, oh, I'm not anti-vaccine, I'm a vaccine skeptic. It's not. If you were a vaccine skeptic, you would understand the science of vaccine and would be able to change your mind. You are a cynic. You are a person who has a belief that will cherry pick the evidence to your belief, as opposed to someone. And so I think what I really want to end on with this is two things. Number one, I think shot in the arm is a vaccination against some of that cynicism, speaking to those individuals who hear people who are cynical and deeply entrenched in anti-vaccine beliefs to go back and look at evidence and know that there's a whole group of us out here that will continue to show the evidence. And we will also be the first ones to say we're wrong. You will never hear the other side say that they're wrong.
Not today. No, it's really a disaster. We used to have a thing called the social contract. We still have it, but it feels so under attack. And an offshoot of the social contract, I'm not a big fan of guilt or shame in a way, but a little bit of shaming and guilt within a community to say, hey, pick up your garbage, right? Don't drink and drive, right? Those things worked. And how do we not have shaming around decency, around evidence-based, around attacking without reason? I mean, there's, again, so many stages to this, but all we can do is not quit, Terry. We've got to just keep going.
So what I wanted to conclude with is just giving you props, because it's more than a documentary, it's a record. It's a ledger of lies caught on film. And kind of in this era where falsehood spread faster than any virus, such records are not optional, they're essential. So I want to encourage everybody to watch the film, share it, argue about it if you must, but above all, remember, medicine is not a matter of belief. Medicine is a matter of evidence. And when evidence is this clear, to deny it isn't brave, it's reckless. And we all will pay the price, and the first ones to pay the price are the most vulnerable among us, the infants, the children, the elderly, those affected with immunocompromising diseases. So thank you so much for the film, and pbs.org, people.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for what you do, Terry. It's an honor to be on here with you.